Welcome to the Art Lady channel, and today we're going to learn about a very famous painting, one of the top 4 most famous paintings. Actually, this painting of the Scream sold for over almost $120 million, and that was one of the top 4 highest priced paintings ever paid. The Scream, and it was by Edvard Munch. He actually painted 4 paintings very similar to this. It all started basically because when he was a child, he had a lot of bad things happen to him. Family members died, and then when he was a young adult, his dad died. So he experienced death of a mother, a father, and a sister, all in his being from 5 years old to a young adult. So a lot of this affected his emotions and how he painted. And one day, him and his friends were walking along this bridge here. And he was walking, and all of a sudden he looked out and saw this sunset. And he had this eerie feeling come over him. And he wrote about it. He said, one evening, I was walking along a path. The city was on the side, and the fjord was below me. And a fjord is like a river or a body of water that is very deep and goes between 2 mountains and cliffs. So this is actually the fjord right here. And so I was walking by over the fjord, and the sun was setting. Can you see the sun setting? A bright sun in the sky. The clouds turning blood red. And I sensed a scream passing through nature. That's why it's entitled Scream of Nature. It seemed to me that I heard the scream. I painted this picture, painted the clouds as actual blood. The color shrieked, and this became the scream. So basically, he was walking along the bridge over the fjord, and he saw this sunset colors in the sky. How many of you have ever seen sunsets? Bright, gorgeous sunsets. Well, he saw this, but he took it as nature was screaming, this blood. He saw the blood of the sunset. And because of his negative life, lots of things happening to him, he was probably feeling sad, probably feeling alone in the middle of the fjord. He's standing on the bridge and looking down over this river. He sees the city and the sunset, and alone. His friends were up here. See him on the bridge? And so that's what made him do this kind of eerie painting. And all of a sudden he just felt this, almost like the wind blowing and hitting him. This awful feeling came over him as he looked at that sunset. So it was so emotional that he went home and then painted it. So he's expressing his emotions, expressing how he felt that moment in time through this painting. And this painting has become very famous over time. Like I told you, it was sold for $120 million. Whoa, can you imagine that? One painting. So, we're going to take this image, and we're going to be painting similar to this. Now, we're not going to copy him exactly. We're going to put in our creativity. Who is going to be screaming? Now, his was a scream as a negative scream, scared, frightened, alone. You might want it as a scream of joy. Woohoo! It doesn't matter what you're screaming. So think of an emotion as you're doing this. I'm going to teach you how to draw similar to this, but you're going to change up the composition. Maybe you want to have hair flowing in the breeze. Long hair, short hair, more detail on the face. That's up to you. But we're going to do a screaming mouth. Look how simple this is. That's why I love this painting. This is very easy for anyone to make. All right, so Oh, I'm going to show you a little fun, though. I do have this screaming doll here. Here's my version of the scream. This is what we're going to be doing today. But let's listen here to the screaming doll. Oh, yeah. And he's kind of like hands held up here. Oh, no! Screaming! Oh, no! But you can also, remember, a scream can also be scream of joy. Sometimes when I say, today we're going to do clay, everybody goes, oh, yay! Clay! Woo, 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 woo! So, those are joy screams. And of course, bald here, but you might want to put some nice hair going on. So, it's up to you how you do your scream. But let's begin. I want to have plenty of room for these gorgeous skies, and it can be a great sunset. And then, so we want to plan. Look, so we're planning. Artists always plan. So we're going to take our hand, put it on the top of our paper, and we're going to make our plan. A little tiny line that says, this is the top of my head. So, my white paper, I'm holding it vertically, so the short end is going to be near your tummy. The long end is going to be on the sides. Plan your paper, put your little line. Oops. So, plan little sketch line, and you draw with me. It's in the center of my page. Next step, I'm going to draw 2 ovals. Now look, I'm putting my finger, 2 long elongated ovals. My finger is in between both of them. That's to make sure my scream is pretty big. I do not want a really teeny tiny head. Below that, 2 really tiny nostrils, and you can give a little color in if you want to. 2 little tiny nostrils. Up close, that's what it looks like. Easy, just simple shapes. Now, directly underneath that, this is the scream. So we do a curve. It's going to be basically an oval, but just make it bigger than the eyes. And a nice oval. And later on, you can decide how you want to color it. You want to put some color on the inside? You don't have to. Now, we're going to, and I always call it hugging it close. I'm going to just trace around. I'm coming down around, and I'm hugging it kind of close here. So I'm not coming way out to make that giant head. And now I'm going to go around the chin. So I'm going to leave about a finger space. So I'm going to slide this down. I'm giving him a little shape here. Slide this down, and then a U. Kind of, well, it's not really potato-y. It's, if you turn it upside down, it kind of looks like a gourd shape or a squash shape. So it's got a U here, look, and then it comes up and around. All right, so next step, letter V underneath. This is just the shirt of the screaming man. And we're going to go, if you take, the little hands are near the eyeballs. So come out, and I'm going out. Curve it in a little. Stop. And bring it straight back to the head. These are those cupped hands like this on his head. He's cupping his ears. Same thing on the other side. So I go right where the eyeballs end. I come out a little bit. It's a curve. Down. I'm basically kind of following this freeform curve. Curve and go straight. That's where shirt ends. I'm going to take where this shirt meets the head. I'm going to come down and curve it back this way. Go right off the page. It's almost like the figure's dreamlike. And we're going to form this elbow. I'm going to come down. I'm slightly diagonal, and then I'm going to round it. I'm going down, look, about 4 fingers. You don't want these arms to be real short up here. 4 fingers. On this side, I'm going to start forming the elbow first, and then I'll put the rest of his clothes in. So I'm going to come down and up. Look at this. 4 fingers down and up like the letter. Hey, look at this. Can you see it? The letter what? J. But make sure you're 4 fingers down. Now, if you look on mine here, mine's easier to see than the copy I have. This, look at this nice little curve here. We've got a little curve going on. It just gives a little bit more movement. If I went up straight, it would be okay. But I'm just going to come in a little bit and then go right up to here for his clothing. Now, if I put the line here, and came straight down, it'd be too skinny. So I'm coming into the body a little bit. I mean, into the elbow. So this is his actual elbow. So just come down and give it a little wave. Down, not a perfect straight line. It won't show movement. That's why I show a slight bend of this, like he's shivering. So if I did him straight, with straight lines, he would be stiff. He wouldn't look like he's the shivering, to give that expression of shiver. Let's look at his original. Right here. We've got, you see, his body is not a straight line. It's a kind of curved line. We're going to put in the bridge that's over the fjord. And remember, the fjord is like it's a river, and the river has actually been carved out of glaciers. Glaciers from millions of years ago cut through the land and carved these fjords. And this is in Norway. He was a Norwegian artist. And so if you think about Norway, where Norway is in Europe, the very northern end of Europe, and it's really cold all the time. And up at the top there, that's where there's a lot of glaciers. At the top of the globe of the earth, lots of glaciers are there. I even went inside a glacier one time. It was so cool. They carved out a cave inside a glacier. Okay, but let's get this line right here, and that was in Switzerland. So we're going to be making the bridge behind him, but look, the railing of the bridge is behind the figure. So we never draw on top of the figure. So it's a diagonal line. Pick where you want it on your page and go diagonally straight to the figure and continue behind the figure. Continue negatively. We're not doing it here. This is invisible behind him, and then it continues straight down. This helps just divide the plane. So then we have room for our gorgeous sky, and we have room for the fjord, the lake, the river that goes through, the land. And so we can make the fjord right here. So if we go here I am near the top of my page, see? So I'm coming here and giving a swoof curve right to the guy. The curvy, and I kind of compare it to, if you think about, in the United States, the Grand Canyon. These walls of the fjord are very high. The river is way down because it's been carved by a glacier. Okay, do this the same. We're going to go a thick curve here, and then go skinny, 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 skinny as it gets farther into the landscape. This almost looks like the letter S. Fat here, skinny here. And then we can stick a horizon line, which is a line that divides the earth from the sky. Make sure your horizon line, do you see the top of my page? Your horizon line, you want to be parallel with the top of the page. If your horizon line is crooked, it's going to look kind of funny. So I take the top of the page, decide where you want your sky to be. Don't have the horizon line touching the top of his head though. You want it a little bit up higher or a little bit lower. Remember, this is where the blood red sky is gonna be. So decide how much sky do you want on your page. I'm gonna stick my horizon line in here. I'm going behind my head and straight across, trying to be as parallel as I can to the top of my page. Parallel means equal distance. Remember, parallel lines never what? Meet. Good. These lines would never meet. So now I have my fjord that I'd made. I've got some blue land here, or land, and then I've got the gorgeous blood red sky, and now I want some more of the bridge. You see my designs on my bridge? So I'm going to make another line coming through. Now this is actually drawn in perspective, but we can't see the vanishing point, which would be way over here. So I'm going to kind of just make up where it's going to be, and then I'm going to go, you want it to be shorter here, continue your diagonal down and down. This should be a little bit wider as you're getting farther from what's called a vanishing point. So this is going to be the bridge rails, and then this is the ground of the bridge. Now let's put a few posts in. Now this is important. You want to make sure it's parallel to this line. You don't want your bridge posts. See my posts? These are straight. You don't want them to be crooked. Okay? So I'm going to draw parallel. You can even take your hand to make sure they're parallel as a measurement tool. See how that's straight up and down, matching the straight side. It's not crooked. And then this one, if you want to do a post on this side, stick your hand, make sure your hand isn't crooked. And then you know, or you can just freehand eyeball it. Straight posts. You can even put a post here. Now, the closer the posts get to this vanishing point, the closer they get together. This would slowly get closer together. And then put another post down the middle, the railings. I don't know, because I've never been to this spot, and I haven't researched this area here. This is actually a little bridge where he used to walk. He used to walk across the bridge to in this town, and his sister was actually in the hospital in a little building at the end of this bridge. And so this may have been a day with his friends that he was walking to, or it could have brought back memories of his sister, his day that he was actually here with his friends walking.
Maybe his sister's.
Yeah, maybe. But he could have thought of his sister, who was in a hospital very near this point in I believe it's in Norway. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and color it in. We're going to be using water-soluble colors today, and I want you to wait first. The kids in my class today, I want you to wait while I quickly show the YouTubers how we're going to finish this. We're going to be using water-soluble colors, and you can paint this in with paints. You can do anything you want. But for my lesson today with my kids, we're using water-solubles, and then we're just going to paint them. So we're going to be coloring with lines, pushing pretty hard. Because in his painting, he had a lot of expressionistic lines showing. So I want this sky. I want this feeling of the sky for my painting. Bright reds and oranges. So my friends are going to stop, and I'm just going to quickly show how to use these water solubles. If you just push hard and outline, you don't need to color it all in. So I'm just going to show quickly how I'm going to demonstrate this. I can trace edges. I want his face to be pretty light, so I'm not coloring in. I'm just going to move these lines, and I'm filling up the lines that match the lines in my paper. Right in here. The land. I'm going to go behind the bridge here. And I want this area to be a little bit greener than the river. So I'm putting in some yellow because we all know yellow and blue make what? Green. And then I'm going to stick in the colors It kind of reminds me of a Van Gogh painting. And I draw in the direction of the lines and the way the land is growing and flowing. And then in his black clothing, what I did was I put a lot of dark blue in his clothing lines. And then what I did is I put a little bit of black. Oops. I pushed pretty hard, so it kind of breaks them. So I'm putting in some black. And this is how I'm building up my picture. And I'm just going to show you quickly because I want you to make it your own. But I want to demonstrate how this works with water solubles. So I only had a few lines. Look at what's happening. Did I color it all? No. With these water solubles, I didn't need to. Then I just take my brush and I move my water the way my lines were drawn. And I'm adding the water to it, gently. And I'm using a stiffer flat brush. And this kind of melts. And what's great about this technique is I still get to see, if you do it lightly without really stirring it, I still get to see the bold strokes of my lines show through. Look at this. Isn't that lovely? And I get that technique. My lines still show through. Watch how I'm going to do the face. I'm just going to really carefully hit just the edges. I want to keep my face pretty white. Make sure you wash your brush real good. And the face kind of melts in because I've done it with this marker, and it gives it a really cool effect. And now the same thing with your background. See how I'm blending in? I'm doing each section differently. I'm not blending it together. Each section is different. And that is how you can finish your painting. And have fun with... Where'd he go? I lost him. Have fun painting your Scream by Edvard Munch.